How was it like growing up as a firstborn?
Well, as even my parents call me deputy parent, so I guess it comes with the title.
Thank you for joining us on the Safaricom Newsroom podcast. Today we are joined by Fawzia Ali. We'll understand what her role entails and also talk about some of the key customer concerns. Stay with us. Thank you for having us today.
Most welcome. It's a pleasure.
So let's begin by getting to know you. Who's Fawzia?
Fawzia is a firstborn. Fawzia is a mom. Fawzia is an auntie, a sister to 4 other siblings. I'm the firstborn in the family. Fawzia is a coach. Fawzia likes to work out whenever she gets a moment.
Yeah.
It's tough sometimes with time. Fawzia loves jazz, spending time with family, nature. So I love to hike. I'm part of a hiking group. So every month we go forest bathing, as we call it. And it's amazing just to be out in nature and to disconnect from the city. Yeah.
When is the last time you went for a hike?
So the last time I went for a hike was actually 2 months ago. I missed the last one. And it was actually quite a nice hike. We thought we would actually have a much longer hike. It was in Kinale, but it was raining and it was very, very wet. So we didn't walk for too long. I think we just walked for about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and we had to stop because it was becoming quite dangerous. But one of my most memorable hikes, and there are many, I would say 2, hiking up Mount Meru. That was really, really tough. That is in Arusha. And hiking up Sleeping Warrior. When you see that Sleeping Warrior, it looks very not so steep. Man, by the time you get to the chest of that warrior, you have walked and walked and walked. It's like you're not getting there. But it was amazing to be up there.
I find it quite tiring to do hiking, and I've never understood why people love it. Maybe just let us know why you love hiking.
I think the reason we love to hike is, like I said, the work is high pressure. So sometimes you want to disconnect a bit. And I think it's amazing walking with good friends. So as you're walking, I actually get to know my hike mates quite a bit. We're a group of about maybe 20, but every time we're in a hike, we're about 12. And every time I'm on a hike, I tend to walk with someone different. So it means that I get to know someone different. But for me, what I love about it is just being in nature. I wouldn't have been able to do it alone. So doing it a group is safer, more organized, etc. And then it allows me to decompress. To be very honest, once I come back from a hike, most hikes are anywhere between 5 to, I think the longest hike was Mount Meru. It was almost 11 hours, 10 hours, thereabouts. Once you come back a bit refreshed. And then you see as you're walking, you're reflecting on your week, on the things that have gone well, the ones that haven't gone well. So it allows you to reflect quietly. Yeah, so that's why I love hiking.
You've also mentioned that you are a firstborn in your family.
Yes.
How was it like growing up as a firstborn?
Well, as even my parents call me deputy parent, so I guess it comes with the title. But I always say maybe I'm lucky. We are quite close to each other, to be very honest. So we've grown up together. But of course, I always had the responsibility. I always felt it from the beginning. So whether it's you're walking to school with the others, it is me walking to school with them. Whether it's make sure they have eaten lunch, it is me. But I think it's a role that I just embraced. I think I just slid into it. But growing up was great. My parents were both teachers, so they were very present. Then later my dad went into business and politics. So he got a little bit busier, but my fairly present parents. So I would say happy upbringing.
What's your most favorite childhood memory?
Oh, absolutely. Going to Mombasa for the holidays. Yeah, I always used to feel like it was just such a nice break to get out of Nairobi and, just to get to the coast. So, I, and I think it's a good thing that my folks did that to us because they built this thing of a love for travel and a love for adventure. So, just wanting to go to new places without feeling scared. And just wanting to connect with new people and learn new things. So for me, it was fun. I love the sea. I love the sand. I love the sun. So Mombasa for me was one of my best memories.
And then you went on to work in Mombasa for
Yes,
quite
for
some
3 years.
time.
Yeah. So
So
that
did you
was very
continue with
good.
the enjoyment,
Oh,
or did it
completely.
become normal?
No, I think I still enjoyed being at the coast, but of course it was different now. Previously, I always used to think, we always say coast people are a bit slower, but it's true because of the heat.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that they are not enterprising. I found that coast people are one of the most enterprising people, but they know how to manage their energy. There's no point struggling to work on a hot afternoon. So they start very early in the morning. Most businesses, especially food eatery places, will close at 5 a.m., will close after lunch, and then open very late into the evening, close to midnight. So they still make up the time. That's why there are some parts of Mombasa that just never sleep. It's almost like a 24-hour economy. So I loved my experience at the coast. Got to really understand the customer and the role that we play. So the impact of what we do, whether it's from building sites and what networks mean for people. It's the difference between being able to reach your family or not. It's the difference between being secure or not, especially in the border towns of Lamu. Communication was very important. But also the impact of the work we do on the foundation. When I was at the coast is when I became a trustee at the Safaricom Foundation. I served for 2 terms, and that's when I truly immersed myself in what we call the true spirit of Safaricom. When we build hospitals, we don't ask people who come whether they are Safaricom customers or not. We do it because we know it's our duty to ensure that the society in which we operate must thrive. Our success is a function of that society thriving. And I saw the amazing work that the foundation does, whether it's from healthcare or whether it's women empowerment, whether it's from education. For me, it was one of the most fulfilling periods of my career.
Nice. And what is the one thing that people don't know about you?
Gosh, I've been here for so long. Is there any one thing that people don't know about me? It's difficult to say. Let me see. I don't know whether they know or they don't know, but me, I hate running, so I don't know whether they know that about me. But let me think. I mean, I love to mentor young people. I don't know whether that's something they know about me.
Yeah.
I said I love jazz. I don't know whether they know that about me. I said about hiking. I'm learning how to play golf, so I don't know whether people know that or not. So I'm an amateur. Yeah, I'd say those are the things. Maybe very few people know if any. Yeah.
And when you get home, how are you able to switch off from work? Or are you on 24/7?
Well, so with Safaricom, it's hard, I must say.
Yeah.
But one thing I've learned now is if you don't refresh and take a pause, then will not be productive the next day. So for sure, when I go home and I've completely shut down work, because sometimes you still work from home, I decompress by watching a movie or reading a book. My son is now in campus, so I keep myself busy in the evening because he's away. But if he's around, then we'll definitely do something together. So like yesterday, managed to go out for dinner with him. So I do stuff like that. Just go out with friends, have a meal, go watch a movie. Those things just help me to decompress. But I also like to take long walks. So if I get home a little bit earlier, I can go to Jeffries and walk, because you can walk even when it's quite late. Yeah, but my biggest way in which I'm able to decompress is going to the gym, hiking, and now, of course, looking forward to enjoying golf.
And you've mentioned all these hobbies that you have, and then you are also a mother. You are a chief consumer business unit officer here at Safaricom. How are you able to manage all this?
Yeah. So one of the things I tell women in leadership is you have to recognize the seasons of your life. There was a season in my life when I was very busy raising my son. So it was drop in the morning to school. He would take the school bus back home. It was sitting in football training on Saturday and going for matches on Sunday. It was going for swimming competitions over the weekend. That was that season. He's grown up now. He's in college. He's leading his own life. So I'm now able to balance my life a little bit better. The work is quite demanding. So what I do is that I pace myself. Like I said, the last time I went for a hike was 2 months ago. Because the other 2 times, the last time, the reason I missed the hike was because I was at the CEO forum in Rwanda. It's just whatever it is. So I give myself grace. But what I try to do is to find the pockets of time. Now I've learned to look for quality rather than quantity. So you have to find at least an hour every day to decompress. If you don't, then every day is combined with the next day. So it becomes difficult. At some point, you're going to burn out. So I have learned to look for the pockets. There are some seasons that are tough. Like Q1 is normally tough. But then it gets easier through the year. So I think the best thing I would tell people is give yourself grace, understand the seasons of your life, but find a moment. Even if it's 15 minutes to take a walk, do the thing that helps you to decompress. It might be different for different people.
Yeah. So as we move to discuss your career journey, let us in on how your day begins.
So my best day, if I have what I'd call my typical nice day, is that I'd be in the gym by around 5:45. So I have a trainer, so we'll work out for about an hour. So I'll be home by 6:45, and I'll be able to be in the office before 8. Most of the time, if I have early morning meetings, I'll start them in the house, and then I'll come to the office. Once I come to the office, it's just meeting people. Because if you're here, then the best thing is to meet the team face to face. So it's about making sure that we are delivering mission. So that's the main effort. It's about identifying what challenges the teams have so that we can be able to unlock. It's also about meeting partners and just meeting suppliers that we might not even be dealing with at the moment. And the reason is because you never know where an opportunity could come from. So I just tend to meet people. So quite a number of people reach out to me on LinkedIn, and I just create time to meet them and see what opportunity exists. And then I also set some time aside to coach, because I'm a certified coach. So I try not to have more than 2 coaches at a time, because otherwise I'll disappoint them because of the tight schedule. So I'll make time to coach. The days tend to be long. With G4G, I think there were times we were finishing at midnight, so it's crazy. But ordinarily would be done by about 8 p.m. What tends to happen after that is that I'll tend to look at my approvals, just close that so that the next day I'm not holding people. And then, like I said, I'll get into dinner and to decompress. So that's a typical day. Yeah.
Quite a busy day.
Quite a busy day.
So as you grew up, was it always your dream to do what you're doing today?
Oh, heck no. In fact, when I was in high school, I always thought I'd be a doctor. And then I don't even know where I experienced a lot of blood. I think I'd gone to the hospital because I was unwell. And I was like, never, ever. This is not the thing I want to do. So that closed out. But in school, I was good in math. And I knew that whatever I would do would be highly analytical. So believe it or not, I did food science and technology. It is a very mathematical, science-based subject. So that rigor built from there. But of course, after school, then I started doing my CPAs and I went the finance route. So my background is actually finance, having done my CPAs and an MBA in finance. So I worked in finance for many years. I started in Unilever. My last position was finance manager, reporting to the CFO. But I also had a stint in Uganda where I was like the CFO. So that was good for about 2 to 3 years. And then coming into Safaricom as well, came into the finance space. It's interesting that When I moved from finance to commercial as their decision support person, that's where I started to be like, okay, this sounds interesting. I think I want to do this. And I remember having a conversation with my HRBP at the time, and he was very categorical in a good way. I think they were just being honest. The person said, I don't think you'll ever be able to lead or lead a commercial organization. And the reason is because you don't have sales experience, you don't have segment marketing experience, you don't have customer experience, and some customer care experience. I didn't have that. You've not worked on CVM, you've not done insights, and that was a good thing. While it hit very hard, I had done my full breadth in finance, because finance had, in fact, I think the only role I hadn't done actively for long in finance was treasury. I think I did it, but for a very short period of time. And then, of course, when I went to Uganda, then I managed to work on it quite a bit. In commercial, I had only done one area, which was just decision support. So when you look at the profile of a commercial leader, it's true. It's true. I didn't have the craft. And actually that became like a trigger. I think that was just, maybe it was the trigger that I needed. Someone to tell me that there was so much to learn. Mm-hmm. And I remember when I went to the coast, that's when I knew for sure that I'm not going back to finance. I remember when I was on the coast, there was a job opening in finance that I was called to do, and I said no. And I know I created a lot of pain for my HRBP, but I was just like, now I'm sure. What I want is to work with customers, understanding their needs, delivering propositions that meet those needs, delivering the best experience, delivering the best care. That's what I wanted to do. So when I went to the coast, then I started ticking those things that I hadn't done. So I ticked sales, I ticked customer experience, I ticked quite a bit of understanding customer insights, because you're in the market every day. What I loved about being in Mombasa is you live in the community. You're there with the customer every day. There's nothing like you're going home. You're there with the customers. So I ticked quite a number of boxes there. And after that, to be very honest, things started falling in place without a plan, I can say. Because my next role was segment marketing. But after 3 years, we had to dissolve segment marketing because the business was going in a different direction. And then I was thrown into a product management role, which at the time was quite challenging. But remember, I was ticking. In as much as, so segment marketing was a tick, product management was a tick. So I didn't realize, but I was actually ticking the profile. So I think the big shift happened now, of course, when I moved to mobile data. Because now by the time I got to mobile data role, I think I had ticked 7 out of the 8 profile requirements. Mm-hmm. And I remember the time Sylvia told me, okay, fine. So now you're one amongst, we were about 3 people who were like her proposed succession plan. I was further down, but at least I was part of that succession plan. And I think the rest is history, as they say it.
And how does it feel having ticked all those boxes and now being in that role you are being told you cannot be?
For me, what I would say first and foremost, this is what I wanted to do, so I'm quite excited about it. Secondly, I have learned a lot. I think the biggest lesson I have learned in this process is first to understand my limitations and to know that it's important when people tell you the truth. Because it could have gone 2 ways. I could have been upset with the person and just gone back to finance. And it would have still been okay. But because I took it as a challenge, and fortunately, there's also a bit of luck. Fortunately, the opportunities presented themselves. And in some cases, even people pushing you to do roles that ordinarily you would not have said yes to. Going to the sales and the GM role in the coast was a push, because my role became vacant after a restructure. Mm-hmm. I didn't have a role. So I had to look for whatever open opportunities that were there. So if I look back, I could have still gone back to do a finance role, but taking this role allowed me the opportunity to do something different. So for me, it's 1, an answered prayer, 2, a lot of hard work, But three, and knowing that you can't walk this journey alone, you need people who see your blind side, and then people who tell you the truth, even when the truth sometimes can hurt a little. Because if that's the journey you want to go, then you want people around you who can tell you the truth. Everybody around you just tells you what you want to hear. You won't grow.
True.
Yeah.
Your role as the Chief Consumer Business Officer has recently expanded. You're now in charge of the channel strategy, you're in charge of micro and small businesses, customer experience, and also brand. Tell us, how does a day look like for you in this expanded role?
Well, I think our first priority is to go through G4G, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I think that has been the biggest priority at the moment. And I think it couldn't have come at a better time, because we are reflecting on our capability or in our ability to deliver on our vision to 2030. And we are asking ourselves, with what we have done up to this point, if we continue at this level, will we get there? And I think what has come alive is that there are a few shifts we need to make. There's quite a bit that we've done by the way that's great. Remember, this is a growing business. This business delivers great results. We make a big impact to our customers' lives. And now it's just about commercial rigor in getting that execution going. But it's difficult to get that going if we haven't done the announcements and settled the organization. So we need to close that very, very quickly.
And what's the hardest part leading such a big cluster, business cluster?
For me, I would say maybe two things. The first thing is, because ultimately it's about delivering commercial value for the customer and the business, the hardest part is the macros. Because when customers are going through a very difficult time, you have to be a bit more empathetic. I mean, you're always empathetic, but now more than ever, you have to demonstrate that you're standing in the gap to be able to show them how they can stretch that shilling a little bit more. Which means that we have to, which brings me to the second challenge, which is around how we reduce our cost to serve. Because if we continue to reduce the cost at which we deliver our services, then we are able to reduce the cost of how we price our products to our customers. So that's the next thing. And then, of course, the final one is just making sure that we have the right tools and platforms and systems to make it easier for for our staff to work. So if you think about it in retail, how do we make it a little bit easier for them to serve customers? At the call center, how do we make it easier? How do we make it easier so that we can serve more customers? So those are the things. It's about making sure that you enable your team. Because remember, we're leading leaders.
Yeah.
We're leading experts. These people know exactly what they need to do. It's just about setting clear direction and enabling them, and then kind of stepping away and allowing them to do what they need to do.
Yeah. And you've talked about the pricing, and we are seeing consumer trends changing. So there is high cost of living, which is making people recalibrate how they spend. We are also seeing a huge reliance on digital wallets. So when you look at the consumer trends in Kenya, what is that one trend that excites you most right now?
Oh, first, the fact that we've got such a young population is exciting for me, because it means the brand has the opportunity to grow. So that's one. The second thing, digital transformation in Kenya is exploding. The number of customers who are now able to afford smartphones and to use digital services is also exploding. So that means that we have a lot more to offer our customers. Previously, remember, it was only voice and SMS. Now we can leverage all the way to healthcare, education, music, content. There's a lot more that we can curate and converge and put together to offer real value to our customers. So that truly excites me. Despite the fact that the economy is tough, what always helps this brand to grow is the resilience of Kenyans. And as long as we can demonstrate to Kenyans that we can stand in the gap, they always come through. So people might not understand, but every month, 20 million customers use our core product. It's just for the gap in the morning. They wake up in the morning, they don't have airtime. Maboda rider, I want to make my first ride. Once I make my first 2 rides, I'm good. But I just need that person who allows me to make my first call. Okoa enables them to do that. Fuliza, for a long time, we were stuck at 7 million customers. We have 17 million customers today who will wake up in the morning, have nothing in their pocket, but still be able to go and hustle and come and bring something home. These are the things that we must continue to do more of to help our customers. I'm excited about the fact that we have insurance coming because it means that people can safeguard what they've worked so hard for. Imagine working in a business like the other time, like for example in Kikomba when we have fires, you've set up your business, you've gone home, you come back, everything is gone. Embedding insurance in some of our very basic solutions means that in case that happens, you've protected the income of the customer. And not just making sure that they can survive, but they can thrive, that they can actually thrive. Yeah, so that's what we are aiming to do with our campaign, which is launching very soon.
We are also seeing a lot of segmentation and introduction of products and solutions that fit certain segments. For instance, the Bandoya Wakulima, the border one. What's driving this?
Yeah, you see, one of the things we realized is for a long time, we were treating our customer as one segment. And we had started the work on segmentation. I think it was in 2011. Yeah. But what we've also seen is that even within the segment, so we did a refresh 3 years ago, but even within the segment, we are finding micro communities. And those micro communities have very unique needs. And what we found is when you meet their needs, they connect with it at a level that is beyond. You've mentioned Ofaya Boda. We find that a community. They're about, the number ranges from 1.6 million to 2 million Boda riders in Kenya. Whatever it is, it's a big number. And when we sat with them, one of the things they told us is, of course, there are a couple of things I struggle with. My data has to always be on so that I know where I'm going. And we were like, that's something we can solve. So we said Google Maps, for whatever we do, has to be free for that customer. Then they said, of course, I need voice, I need data, I need SMS, which is fine. But when we dug deep, what they told us is that their biggest worry is that the day they don't work, their family does not eat. And that's when we said, you know what? We have to look for an insurance company that is able to tokenize insurance. Because most insurance companies are used to annual payments. You pay annual insurance for your house, you pay annual insurance for medical. But for these customers, they don't earn like that. So how do we tokenize it? And surprisingly, we were able to get insurance companies out there that are willing to tokenize insurance. And that's exactly what we did. So now for any day when a Boda rider is not working, they're able to get a stipend. So what we're saying is that by fully understanding the customer need, we're able to curate a proposition that makes sense for them. So now that Boda rider gets voice, gets data, gets SMS, they get Google Maps free for the period of their bundle. And when they are sick, they're able to be covered in the hospital, 15,000 shillings. For every day they're in hospital, they get 1,000 shillings up to 30 days. This has really connected with them. So of course, we've extended this to taxi drivers. We've now gone to farmers, and we want to extend that further to teachers. Of course, on the youth side, we have Safaricom Hook. But one of the lessons we are picking with Safaricom Hook is that we have been dealing with the 18 to 24 age. What about the 10 to 17? So that's the next place. And why is that important? Remember, 10 years from now, these are going to be the future of this brand. So we have to find solutions that also make sense for them. So by doing this, we find that we are creating a better connection with our customers, and we are able to give them value that truly meets their needs.
Customer is king to us, and every product, every solution we develop is based on customer needs, to address a customer need.
Yeah.
So if you were to track one customer metric every morning, which one would that be?
I always say the first thing is you need to have the customer on your base. So I know we want to track many things about the customer, but the first thing we must always say is that we must always have the customers on our network. So customer market share is a number we track monthly, but on a daily basis, what we track is customer activity. So we want to grow our customers, and we want to make sure that the customer is active for more days in a month. So those are numbers that we tend to track on a daily basis. And then once you've done that, then you come and say, because I've introduced a proposition that I think is of value to you, the adoption level of that proposition needs to be high. Because if the adoption level is not high, then you're really not getting the benefit that I want you to get from the proposition. So the first thing is that you must first have the customers, and you must keep them on your network, and they must be active. So that's what we call active days of use. So we first look at our 90-day base, then our 30-day base, then we look at how many days in the month are you active, and then adoption of the propositions that we are giving you. That way, then now we would say we have a very, very stable base. Because if the customer is using a proposition that meets their needs, they will stay. If the customer is not picking that product, then they will always be shopping, trying to see where can they get the best value. And that's why I'm excited about our mission around converged propositions, because we are truly bringing everything together. Imagine before we used to tell customers, you come and buy voice, then you buy data, then you buy SMS, then you come and buy a newspaper, then you buy music. Then it's too much. We're making the customer come to our shop too many times. All this is so that we can make sure that we deliver the right experience. However, because it's a journey, we are not quite there. Customers complain about data depletion. A couple of things that we have done in that space. We have ensured that customers are able to see how their devices are using data. But besides that, first is just making sure that they have bundles that are sufficient. But on the depletion of data, one thing we have noted, or two things we have noted, is that we have to help customers control the apps that they use on their devices. But for the customer, at the time when the data is depleting, they are quite upset. So the first thing is that what we've tried to do is to make sure that we manage those things internally. So we have a very nice tool called Data Manager. And currently, I think we have about 20 million customers on Data Manager. So what that does is that the customer will never be able to browse if they don't have a bundle. And it will always be able to tell them. But beyond that, now that customers are used to Data Manager, what we have noticed is that now we've gone to the next level, which is around educating them on some of the apps that use a lot of their data. For most iPhone customers, we have seen, if you just correct some of the settings for both Android and iOS, we are able to really control the usage of the devices. But finally, which is more internal, we have also noticed that we have an opportunity in cleaning up our notifications, in making sure that we are able to optimize the video delivery so that the bundle for the customer actually stays a bit longer. One of the things we had introduced some time back is that we allowed the customer to be able to slow the speed at which their data is progressing. And we can see that there are some customers who actually like that service. But for most of the customers, it's still quite a challenge. So one of the things that we did recently, which was a big step in the right direction, is we said, sometimes customers don't understand how many MBs are required to do something. I mean, we have done the education piece. We have seen the sentiments around us being called thieves, to be honest, reducing. But they still complain. So what we said is, no, let's turn this around. Most customers don't know how much MBs or GBs they need to watch a movie, or how many MBs they need to watch a football match, or how many MBs they need if they're coming from home to the office and they're listening to music. It's not that clear. So that's why we introduced a new bundle called Be Live, which is a time-based bundle, because customers understand time. They know that a football match is 90 minutes, plus or minus, even if you say 120 minutes. So they know in 2 hours, I can comfortably be able to watch a match. We introduced these bundles in October last year, and what we've seen actually is that the data NPS, which was a very distant number 2, has actually crossed to number 1. Now, of course, the work we need to do, which is why it's going to be one of the key campaigns under the Marketing the Network, is that we only have about 2 million customers who are using the plan. What about all the others who are not using it? They are probably still struggling with, I've bought this bundle to watch a match, lakini imeisha na sijamaliza. But in this 1 hour, if you know that you want to do something for an hour, buying this bundle gives you a lot of transparency, and it's much simpler to understand. So we kicked it off with the youth segment. And one of the things they said is that now this is much easier to understand. But we believe where this is needed most is with our strivers, who perhaps this whole notion of MBs is not making sense. So what would I say? I would say we'll always strive to make sure that we find a solution that works with the customer. We'll try many things. To be honest, some things might not work.
Yeah.
But we're not going to stop finding the solutions for them. Same with fixed. Every day we have about 4 to 5 fiber cuts because of just construction, whether it's road construction or it's a construction of a building somewhere. But we can't keep telling the customer, your fiber is down because of road construction. What they want is connectivity. That's all they want. So what we've said is, okay, fine. Immediately that fiber is out, we will give you some bundles and we will tell you, we notice your fiber is down, we've given you 5 GBs as we try to resolve the issue. Because even if we tell them the fiber has been cut because of whatever, that's not what they want. They want connectivity. So that has been received very well. The second thing now we are doing is that we are making sure that anyone who has a fiber connection also has a 5G router that has a battery. So that when the fiber connection is off, then they can fail over to 5G. And even if power goes off, they have power backup for about 3 hours. So what I would say is that we will continue to be committed to finding the solution that works for the customer. Even if we come up with a solution that we think works for us, but doesn't work for the customer, then we will just have to drop it and give the customer a solution that works. I'll give you another one for M-Pesa. We've been giving customers hakikisha prompts. Why do customers still make mistakes? We can take the higher ground and say customers are not keen, but our role is to make sure that we give them a journey that ensures they don't make a mistake.
Yeah.
So very excited about the push notification that now we have. Quite a number of organizations, you'll go to a merchant, they'll push the notification to you and you just pay, which means there's no mistake, starting with the expressway right here.
Yeah.
Isn't it? Now we are getting to QR codes. You scan and then you just put the PIN and that's it. We are going to get into other things like tap to pay. All these are about making sure that we ultimately find the solution that delivers the best experience for our customers. So for us, we will hold that we want to deliver world-class experience and we want to have market leadership on experience in this country. And we'll continue to find solutions that make it easier for our customers.
So that's our promise to the customer.
That's our promise to the customer.
Great. We are currently running the Popote Ulipo thematic campaign. Tell us what this is about and why it matters to the customer.
So when we came up, so basically the Popote Ulipo is our marketing the network campaign. And the reason we say it's about marketing the network is because Safaricom leans on its network for all the services that we offer our customers. And what the promise we want to make to customers is that starting with the network, we will be wherever they are. And that's why we continue to invest in the network every single year. Currently, we have covered the population, 97% of the population. And for the part that is not covered, we continue to roll out sites. So like this year, we're going to roll out nearly 500 sites. I think it will be our biggest rollout plan, maybe over the last, 7 years. Huge advantage in terms of reaching our customers wherever they're. It's a big investment. We will make sure that those sites are 4G enabled. When you take a site anywhere, the first thing that opens up there is an M-Pesa agent, which means the service is taken much closer to our customers. So we want to make sure M-Pesa services are wherever you live. You turn like this, there's an M-Pesa agent. Yeah. Thirdly, we want to make sure that if you want customer service experience, it's also wherever you are, Popote Ulipo. So we've expanded our service centers from our 47 shops to over 1,300 franchise outlets across the country, so that wherever the customer is, they can be able to get service and experience much, much easier. But of course, now we've launched the app, because the one app means that we are there with you 24/7. It doesn't shut down. The app doesn't shut down. So if you want care, if you want to use M-Pesa services, if you want to buy a proposition on the app, it will be 24/7. So all these channels, all these initiatives and channels are to make sure that our customers feel that they can get service or they can get a proposition or whatever it is that they need 24/7, wherever they may be. And it's just about showcasing how we are expanding our services and taking them closer to our customers.
You earlier mentioned about Converged solutions, which is our mission for this year, to scale innovative converged solutions. How or what is the key role for the consumer business in achieving this mission?
So ultimately, the outcome we want out of this is for customers to feel that they are getting the best value from Safaricom. So from a consumer business perspective, our key role, number one, is to make sure that the business gets the insights of the customer. So whether you're an enterprise customer or an individual consumer customer, that we fully see the customer end to end, from connectivity needs, what they need at home, what they need for financial services, end to end. And then now with these insights, inform the business units in terms of the propositions that would resonate better with our customers. Once these products, of course, are designed and developed, our role is to make sure that the journeys that have been built are optimal, because we have the CX role. So we will ensure through the gate process that we have superior journeys that deliver to the customer without the customer having to ever call on anyone. So this whole area of intuitive journeys that infuse intelligence, as we call it, is something that has to be a reality. And we don't want it to be just for words. We honestly want it to work that way, so that, for example, if a customer was trying to buy a product and they didn't succeed, we can actually reach out to them and say, we noticed you were trying to buy something. Would you want us to try that for you? Or how would you want us to help you? You know, that sort of a thing. So that the support is actually infused in the journey developed for the customer. Of course, we will continue to read customer sentiments, both digitally and physically, through our research and insights team, because that continues to hold us to account, keep us honest in terms of delivering. But of course, because we sit at the center, it's making sure that whatever is generated or produced or developed for customers, we take it to market. Yeah. Our sales organization is there to ensure that we are actually able to very efficiently distribute our products very, very effectively to our customers. Of course, now we want to leverage digital channels more, but we know that there are some instances where you need the physical channel, like when you're selling a phone, yeah, or a tablet or a router or a home connection, you have to physically get there. So, and we work with all functions. So, but our success ultimately is to make sure that the customer is able to actually say that I'm quite happy with the service I get from Safaricom, and I'm able to recommend my friends and family. And that's why the NPS reading is one of the best affirmations from a customer that they have received the best service, because they've loved the service so much that they can advocate for it. And advocate is the people they love the most, which is their friends and their family. So currently this year, we are aiming to get to 40% of our customers converged on converged propositions, and 30% of the revenue. It's a big lift, but we are committed to doing it because we have seen the benefits, even with the small communities that we have started with. So this is the journey that we are on, and we are not doing it alone. Engaging quite closely with enterprise and financial services, because that's the only way we can deliver holistic value for our customers.
Okay. So AI is here with us, but we are also seeing a section of customers saying they don't want to talk to bots, they want to talk that human interaction. How are we managing or balancing both, moving into digital as well as having that human face?
One of the things we've seen with customers, let me tell you, is that they get irritated when a bot just takes them round and round in circles. That's why they are frustrated. If the bot could actually be able to solve their problem, they would not have a problem. So for example, if they wanted to know their balance for their bill and they got it, they would be fine. But if they're trying to report a complex issue like, my home fiber has been out for the last 3 days and no one has come, and the bot is just taking them round and round, that's the frustration. And that, I think, is something we need to make sure that we avoid. The role of AI is to replace the mundane, repetitive tasks that, to be honest, don't need to be done by a human being. I want to know my balance. What's my M-Pesa balance? What's my M-Pesa PIN? I've forgotten. Please help me set my PUK. I want to buy a bundle. I want to know where the nearest shop is. I want to know where the nearest franchise is. These are things that leveraging technology, we can be able to respond very, very quickly for our customers with the right answer. Our customers know what they want. Our customers are discerning. So when you see that level of irritation, it just means that we have not met their needs. So one of the biggest focus areas is to use AI to remove these repetitive tasks and to leverage our teams to actually help our customers with the more complex tasks. Like, for example, I want to set up a security system in my home. So beyond just the fixed connectivity, I want cameras. I want, can you help me with that? Those are the conversations we want our teams to be having. And that's the aim. Perhaps when we launched it, maybe we were overzealous in some of the journeys that we had put there. That is one of the things that we're cleaning up, just to make sure that it's the repetitive, predictable type things that AI can be able to deliver. Eventually, what these agents is, they will actually start to learn and even be able to support semi-complex issues, not really complex, but semi-complex issues. But still, there's still going to be a very big space for our teams to handle the more complex issues. Remember, when a customer has a problem, all they want is a solution. I always tell people, how come we were able to adapt to ATMs when they came? Yeah, because it worked. I want money at night. No banks are open. Yeah, of course, that has moved on as well because technology has moved on. I don't know whether anyone goes to an ATM anymore because we can pay directly.
Yeah.
But I'm just trying to say that if the solution works for the customer, they will adopt it. So that's what we have to sort out. Because ultimately, we have to make sure that all our customers are able to access care. Think about it. China Mobile has 1 billion customers. How do they serve their customers? What size of call center would you need to serve 1 billion customers? Maybe you can help me.
That's huge.
Maybe you need, I don't know, 30 million?
Yeah.
30 million in a call center?
Yeah.
It's not necessary. So if we build our journeys right, if we make sure that we infuse intelligence in how we care for our customers, if we make sure that our systems speak to each other, if we ensure that it's seamless and much easier for the customer, they don't have to feel like they're working so hard to use Safaricom. They don't have to feel like it's so hard. If that's what we are aiming to deliver, then our customer will be happy. And that's exactly what we are aiming to deliver. So in the digital care space, we want to use a lot of bots to help customers answer the more generic questions. On social media, we want to be able to respond to those queries as quickly as possible. One of the things we saw in Indonesia, social media response rate is 20 seconds.
Yeah.
Here, our response rate is an hour. So there's an opportunity. Sometimes just get inspiration from others, that sort of a thing. So we believe there's a place for it. Ultimately, it must solve the problem for the customer.
Okay. So before we move into the quickfire questions, is there anything else you'd like to add?
I think for me, what I'd want to add is that we are committed to making the life of the customer much simpler and much easier. It is a journey, and what we have decided to do is to prioritize what we focus on. So for this quarter, for instance, in the retail space, we're only focusing on 2 things. We are saying the 2 demand drivers in retail are SIM swaps and M-Pesa statements. So we just want to focus on those 2 and make sure that customers can get that service much easier. So now we have automated how customers get a SIM swap using fingerprint verification. We've been able to reduce that journey from anywhere from between 8 and 10 minutes to 2 minutes. So what that means is that the queue is moving much, much faster. We are taking that service to our 1,200 franchise stores. Imagine the impact that will have. It will decongest our shops. Secondly, M-Pesa statements now have been anonymized. You can't see the person's number, isn't it? So now it means our franchise outlets can be able to print the statement for our customers. They can also print at a cyber cafe. Yeah, and it's a way for them to also earn money when they do this. So we are going to focus on the top 10 journeys for our customers, the top 10 pain points that make it very difficult for our customers, and find solutions that work. and then make sure that those services are very accessible to our customers. So if you ask me what's one of the things that is our biggest priority, is just this whole area of customer experience.
Mm-hmm. And I'm sure that will get us into a good space where we don't see a lot of complaints from the customers.
Absolutely. Remember, these customers are ours. We're the ones who
Yeah.
went to get them.
Yeah.
We went to look for them. We acquired them. So we must serve them well. We believe there's a space where technology, digitization, automation, leveraging AI can play in accelerating how we provide this service to them. Yeah. Like we've said, what size of call center do you think China Mobile would require? So even for us, even if we continue increasing, because the customer numbers continue to grow, we have to find a sustainable way to serve our customers, but a way that makes them feel comfortable in how they get service. So that's our commitment.
Thank you. So now on to the quickfire questions. Early bird or night owl?
Night owl.
Beach holiday or mountain retreat?
You can even answer that one.
Yes, mountain.
No, beach holiday.
Oh, but you love hiking.
I love hiking once in a while, but I love the sea every day.
All right. Coffee or tea?
Tea.
Book or podcast?
Interesting. I think 50-50 now. I love to sit with a book, but sometimes because of time, I can walk and listen to a podcast. I can't walk and read. So I would say 50-50. Okay. So I listen to both. I read and I listen to podcasts, 50-50.
All right. And what's the one word your closest friends would use to describe you?
Mother hen. Because I'm a firstborn, maybe because so I dote on everyone around me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your time. We appreciate.
Most welcome.
Thank you for staying with us. See you again in the next episode.